I think that may have been the reason. Nazareth figured they had him all figured out. So they didn't want to listen to him. They didn't want to be moved or converted or transformed by him, and they rejected him. Now, what about Shrub Oak? Are we going to be Cana? Are we going to be Capernaum? Or are we going to be Nazareth? There's a great temptation, folks, to be Nazareth, especially for those of us who are lifelong Catholics. We're tempted to be like the people of Nazareth to say, we've been Catholics our whole life. We've heard all this before. We've sort of known Jesus since we were kids. And, oh, good God, we've heard these Gospels 1,000 times. And boy, oh boy, there's not much new to learn, or there's not much more grace or mercy that he could give us. And, heck. And the faith loses its spice, and its pizzazz, and its dare, and its nerve. And the faith gets old, and we begin to not listen to Jesus anymore, and we begin to figure that we've got him all figured out. So what happens is Shrub Oak is tempted to be Nazareth, but Shrub Oak has got to be Cana or Capernaum. Now that can happen a lot in life. Not long ago, I visited a man in intensive care. He was in his late 50s. He thought he was in excellent health, and he had an aneurysm, and he nearly died. And when I visited him into the hospital, he said, Archbishop, if there's one thing that's come good out of this is I have begun to take my faith very seriously. I'm a lifelong Catholic, he said, and I was pretty faithful to Sunday Mass and maybe went to confession every couple years, and every once in a while would pray a little or maybe read something about the faith or kind of give both ears to Father's sermon on Sunday. But he said, more or less, I was drifting. More or less, I was listless. More or less, I was lethargic. Not now. When that chaplain came in and anointed me, and when I went to confession, and when the doctor finally said, it looks as if you're going to be all right, I figured, I've met Jesus Christ in a new way. My faith is never going to be the same. You see what happened to that man? He took a trip from Nazareth to Cana and to Capernaum. I was blessed growing up with one of the women who had great impact in my life was my grandma. I called her Nanny Lou. She was my mom's mom. Nanny Lou was a remarkable lady, and she was a convert to the Catholic faith. She became a Catholic to marry her husband, my grandfather, who was a lifelong Catholic. He was a hopeless alcoholic and ended up abandoning them, but she held to the faith strongly, and she never lost the newness and the freshness and the dare of her Catholic faith. So I grew up listening to her ask about the saints and learning new prayers and always wondering about the faith and reading about the faith. Converts can do that for us. Converts are usually from Nazareth. Converts are usually from Cana and Capernaum. We lifelong Catholics sometimes tend to be from Nazareth, right? Not too long ago, I gave a couple a blessing after Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral for their 25th anniversary. And the woman said, you know, Archbishop, a great gift that he gave to me in preparation for our 25th is he became a Catholic. He said, I've been a lifelong Catholic. He's always been real supportive of the faith and seeing that we raise our children Catholic, but I was so happy when on the 25th he became a Catholic. But now, she said, he's driving me crazy. Now he wants to go to Mass every day. Now he's always asking me questions about the faith. Now he's reading the catechism, and now he's praying and wanting to say the rosary all the time. She said, good God, I wanted a Catholic, not a fanatic. So, but you see, she was in Nazareth. He was at Cana and Capernaum. So I just posed to you the question this evening, what's it going to be for Shrub Oak? Are we going to be stuck in Nazareth, or are we going to be Cana and Capernaum? One last story, and I'll close up. This is about another great woman, very important in my life, who is from Cana and Capernaum. Beautiful woman, loving husband, wealthy, 5 children. He's a prominent businessman, and he goes off on a cruise with her, a business cruise to Livorno, Italy. You know where I'm going with this, right? They go off on a cruise to Livorno, Italy, and on that cruise, he contracts tuberculosis and dies. And when they arrive in Livorno, Italy, they're under quarantine. So she is received hospitably by a beautiful Italian family called the Felicis, who were business partners of her husband, William, who had died. And she is mesmerized by them. Now, she was an Episcopalian and a darn good one, very prominent family. But she was hypnotized by the very simple, sincere, humble, yet genuine Catholic faith of this Felici family. She started going to Mass with them every day, even though she couldn't receive Holy Communion. She began to listen as they prayed. She began to read some of the books about the Catholic faith that animated them so much. And one day she went with them for the feast of Corpus Christi. And as the priest was carrying the monstrance with the Blessed Sacrament, she watched the Felici family drop to their knees. And her Episcopalian minister behind her said, "These simple peasants believe that that piece of bread is the Son of God." And she felt in her heart and soul a sentiment, so do I, so do I. And when she went back home, she became a Catholic. And she never lost that freshness, that dare, that newness of knowing Jesus Christ. She was a woman from Cana. She was a woman from Capernaum. And she was a woman whose example keeps us from being Nazareth. And you know her name, Elizabeth Ann Seton. Shall we stand and profess our Catholic faith?